Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for taking some time to speak with me today. Is the volume good for everybody? Everyone can hear me? All right. So we're going to be talking about blockchain and DLTs in the event space. And if you don't know what DLTs are, don't worry, you will. So pretty simple. I'm going to start off with just telling you a little bit more about myself, looking at the general landscapes of DLTs and events. I'm going to take a focus on the advent of something called local currencies, then transition into a focus on something called non-fungible tokens, or NFTs, and finally end with some of what I believe are going to be future trends in the DLT event space. So quickly, I am the CEO of Location-Based Incentives. We're currently kind of in stealth mode, but if you're interested in learning more, please just come approach me after this talk. My background is primarily in game theory, and I focus on gamification and token economics. So those are kind of my realms of expertise and where I spend a lot of my time consulting other businesses as well as working on my own business use cases. So I've got some questions now for everybody. Who here knows the definition of DLT? And I think you can just use the Slido stuff to kind of put in the answers. And then I'm also interested in knowing who here owns some form of cryptocurrency, your thoughts on whether Bitcoin's price will go up or down, and whether or not you believe that blockchain technology is relevant to the event tech industry. You got answers? Great. Okay. So we're kind of getting a mixture of answers for the first question. Okay. So we've got almost everyone answering. Okay, 4 more people to go. All right, well, for those of you that haven't answered yet, I'll give this one away. It is, in fact, distributed ledger technologies. So the other ones are pretty tricky, but it is distributed ledger technologies. And what that means, basically, is you can think of it as algorithms or codes that distribute the risk or the probability of someone making a decision. There are many different forms of DLTs, and blockchain is a form of DLT, but not all DLTs are blockchains. It's quite technical to get into the nitty-gritty, but in general, what you have to understand is that these technologies can greatly reduce the need to rely on any central authority to tell you that a decision has actually been made. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next question, which is who here owns some form of cryptocurrency? And if you answer a lot, I'll definitely want to talk to you after this. Okay, cool. That just kind of helps me gauge the audience and who I'm speaking to. And then this is just more of a fun question. Oh, sorry about that. What do you guys think? Will Bitcoin's price go up or down in the long term? And for those of you that haven't heard of Bitcoin, it's the world's largest cryptocurrency. If anyone knows what it's valued at right now, you can shout that out loud. It's probably pretty high. Okay. And finally, who believes that blockchain technology is relevant to the event tech industry? Okay, seems like we're a little bit mixed around here. So this is really why I'm here to speak today. That's really my focus, and I do think the answers might surprise you. So with that, I'm going to get going. So kind of what are the natural use cases for DLTs in the event tech space? You might think of them as ticketing, rewards, travel, identity, and passports, and perhaps cryptocurrencies. Although I think that you will find that I'm going to challenge this assumption a little bit during this talk. So let's just go into the event technology landscape in general. These next 3 slides, there's going to be a lot of information, but that's kind of to make a point, actually. So if we just look at some of the most popular event technology solutions, many of them represented here today, there's already an abundance to choose from. But if you start looking at marketing technology in general, it becomes overwhelming. Luckily, the event travel and loyalty blockchain technology landscape is still new and budding, and you can primarily be focused on travel and events. I want to thank Martijn Timmermans, who's probably only one of the world's people interested in blockchain and events at the level that he is, for helping to bring this together. So broadly, it is a little bit easier right now to choose which blockchain technological solution you would like to employ at your events if you're interested in doing so. And a lot of these are kind of existing, applications or services that have been spun or modified for whatever reason to include blockchain or distributed ledger technologies within them. So there's quite a lot with accommodation. So right now you can use crypto. A lot of these are actually looking more on the payment side of things, being able to use cryptocurrency to get accommodated to travel. If you look into some of the loyalty programs like this one, Singapore Airlines, for instance, already has something where you can earn cryptocurrency for flying with them. And then I'd be remiss to say, or not to mention, events and ticketing especially. I would say that probably the most popular application of blockchain technologies for the event landscape is in the ticketing area. And this is actually a pretty relatively old survey of the ones that are out there, and you'd be surprised about how many of these no longer exist already, how many of these are already out of business, and how many new ones have already entered the arena. In fact, I believe there's a presentation a little bit later on by Ticket Ferry, which is a blockchain-based ticketing solution, and they're here too, and they're doing really, really well. And the reason that ticketing is such a strong use case for blockchain and DLT technologies is because you can create untamperable and immutable, which means it can't be changed, records of who has what ticket. This can greatly reduce counterfeiting as well as increase the speed and efficiency of ticketing in general. And it's one of the, I would say, strongest use cases of blockchain technology to begin with. I am now going to give my focus, or kind of my hot take, on which areas we will really see expand with blockchain and distributed ledger technologies. And I'm kind of going a little bit into future trends, but I also want to highlight some things that are already working very well. Has anyone here heard of Kolu by any chance? Okay. So Kolu is a blockchain-based digital currency that's actually currently being rolled out in the UK, and it has an enormous presence, especially in Liverpool. Now, with Kolu, what you essentially are getting is a digital currency that can be used within a certain geo-location. Let's talk about Liverpool in this case. So by using this local digital currency, you can earn points, you can earn discounts, and other forms of discounts or promotions, because you're choosing to kind of keep your money within this particular economy and not take it out elsewhere. So what relevance does that have for events? Well, I think that very soon you will see events like this, for instance, engaging in partnerships with service providers like Kolu, so that people can earn some form of a local digital currency just by attending your event. So the idea is that many of us traveled quite a long distance to get here. Our reward, therefore, could be some local Kolu coins, which can be redeemed. I had a lovely lunch at some of the food trucks around here. You can just easily spend with your digital money. And yeah, I think that's a really realistic application of blockchain technologies in this space. And for event organizers, it might be worth looking into what existing digital currencies are already out there in the areas that you would like to throw your events. So I'm going to shift this into a little bit more of a futuristic conversation now, looking at non-fungible tokens. Can anyone here tell me, and this isn't going to be a survey question, I'm just asking, does anyone here know the difference between fungible and non-fungible? Yes, so for those of you that didn't hear, the example that he used of a fungible asset would be gold, because if you have two piles of gold, then it doesn't matter if they're different gold. They both have the same worth based on their weight. And if you were to smelt that down into something else, it would also be able to be reused perhaps in, let's say, circuits or something like jewelry or something like this. So the examples that I like to give between fungible and non-fungible is a stack of, let's say, $100 bills. And for non-fungible, let's look at a collection of art pieces, right? So in this stack of bills, right, if I were to remove any one of these bills and replace it with another $100 bill, the total value of the stack would remain the same, right? Right? Okay. Now, let's consider an art gallery. Let's say this art gallery has some Warhol pieces, it has some Picassos, let's say it has the Mona Lisa there, right? If I were to remove the Mona Lisa from this gallery, what would happen to the value? Yes, it would go greatly down, and you would not necessarily be able to replace its value with a similar artwork, right? So a non-fungible asset is a unique asset, usually has some form of sentimental value attached to it, and it's one of the quickest, or the most, it's one of the most booming applications of blockchain technologies. And I'll go a little more into a deep dive about what that means, and then I'll explain to you what that means for event tech in general. Has anyone here heard of CryptoKitties? By any chance? Okay, a couple. Okay, so for those of you that don't know, CryptoKitties is actually the most popular blockchain application on the Ethereum network, which is the world's largest blockchain network. And what CryptoKitties is a game where you can breed, pimp out, I mean this literally, sell your virtual kitties with other virtual kitties, and they have a virtual genetic algorithm that determines what this next kitty will look like. And there's a marketplace where you can buy these kitties, you can sell these kitties, and if I know it might sound like fun and games, but last year, I'm not making this up, one crypto kitty was sold for over 100,000 US dollars, okay? Because of how rare and difficult it was to create its specific traits. The emerging NFT landscape is quickly growing, with more and more applications being developed to help seamlessly integrate them into other applications or events. And I'd like to talk now quickly about why this is important for event tech. Digital collectibles are going to be huge. Digital collectibles are going to be huge. Imagine going to, I don't know, Comic-Con, right? You go to Comic-Con, if you're there early, you paid for a VIP ticket, now you walk away with an exclusive digital Batman figurine, right? It just exists on your computer, but there's only 10 of them. There's only 10 of them in the world, and they can be traded on blockchain exchanges, just like you can trade cryptocurrency today. This can be used to create unique badges. So another application of non-fungible tokens is because they're unique, because they're tied towards immutable ledgers, right? What that essentially means is that if someone has a virtual badge, right? You give someone a unique virtual ticket, that might start to unlock things on your website that the traditional badge holder doesn't see. And this can all be automated through something called smart contracts, which is one another kind of backbones of blockchain technology. I don't have the time today to go into what smart contracts are, but if you're interested, like I said, please just come find me after this and I'll be happy to speak about that. And then finally, esports. I think that non-fungible tokens are going to have a massive presence in esports, and I also think that esports in general are something that anyone in the event tech space should pay attention to. So I'm just going to give you a more recent example to show that this is still happening, this is still relevant. Just last month, someone spent almost 17,000 US dollars in Ethereum to buy a digital car. Doesn't exist. Doesn't exist. But there's only one of them. Okay? So I just want this to kind of like sit in your mind for a second, because this is what our future is going to look like, is people are going to start being able to, I don't know, like what, do you guys know the game Pokemon Go? You've heard of Pokemon Go? Okay. It's my theory that in the next 5 years, you'll be able to pay for your Starbucks by selling your Pikachu in real time. You went out and collected a Pikachu. It has some rare abilities. There's only 200 of them out there. It's worth $1,000 on the open market. You sell it instantly on an app, and then look, you got money to buy your Starbucks. Okay? So we're going to see virtual economies start to interact with physical economies a lot more rapidly. So in terms of just predicting future trends, now I'm not a forecaster, I'm not an analyst, these are just my thoughts. Have any of you heard of Libra? Yeah? Okay. So Libra is Facebook's cryptocurrency that they are trying very actively to promote. They're being met with a lot of resistance, but they're also pretty, they're pretty powerful. So I think that it's going to happen one way or another. Now, Libra Facebook has billions of users, which means that once Libra enters the domain, there is suddenly be an on-ramp for cryptocurrency for billions of human beings. And right now, the numbers they're not even in the millions, really. Like, it's barely over that on daily uses. So that's going to just change the conversation around blockchain and cryptocurrency massively. And I can't really predict what that's going to do for the event tech space, but I do know that means that in the next 10 years, everyone at your event will own some form of cryptocurrency, or at the very least want to. As I mentioned, esports are going to be on the rise. You should start to expect more virtual events as well. Already there are parties that are being held at games like Fortnite or Minecraft that have millions of people in attendance. So we're going to see a transition from physical festivals and events into virtual ones, where your virtual avatars are the ones that are meeting with each other. And the way that you can actually incentivize people to collaborate will have less to do with physical rewards, and increasingly you're going to have to find virtual incentives for them. And then finally, blockchain loyalty programs are going to become a lot bigger. So I imagine it won't be there's already, for instance, a company called Bits, which rewards you with tokenized versions of stocks of wherever you're shopping at. So if you go and shop at Walmart in America, afterwards a portion of your money is given to you back in tokenized stocks in Walmart. So that's basically a huge application of blockchain and cryptocurrencies, and something that I imagine events will start to use to incentivize people to come check them out. Very quickly, I'm going to give a word of caution. I was at the Ethereum Community Conference earlier this year. This is a little bit of a long-winded story, but there was someone talking about game theory. I really wanted to hear him out. And he told me the story, or he told this, basically a woman asked, hey, I want to feed homeless people in Paris using cryptocurrency. How can I do this? And this guy's answer was, well, I actually once wanted to give a kid who didn't have a lot of money branded toothpaste. He just really wanted branded toothpaste. And I wanted to use cryptocurrency to do this. So what I did was I got into my wallet, I set up an automatic exchange, and then this automatic exchange converted my crypto into Amazon gift vouchers, and then this got him into, this finally was used to buy this kid branded toothpaste. And he said, if you want to feed the homeless people in Paris, do something like this. And everyone was like, yeah, like, whoa, what a great idea. And I was just like, what are you talking about? Just get this kid some fucking toothpaste. You know what I mean? It's just like, and that's what this industry is a bit like, and it's really my word of caution, is that a lot of people look at blockchain and DLTs and they hear these buzzwords and they think they're going to change the world with them, but they're not. You're just reinventing the wheel for no purpose, and you're not actually helping human beings, which is what these technologies should all be about. And also, as many of you probably know in the event space, it is about increasing human connection, not depersonalizing people from each other. So I do think that there are a lot of applications of DLTs, and I hope that I have outlined some of them for you, but please do not think of them as a cure-all. Thank you all very much for your time. This is my email if you want to talk about gamification, token economics, or anything that I just said. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them now. Okay. So I'll start with the first one, which is, what does a CryptoKitty actually get you? Nothing. A CryptoKitty doesn't actually get you anything. You just own a virtual cat, which you can then use to have virtual sex with other virtual cats in the hope that they will create more rare offspring. And I know it sounds ridiculous, but it can also, I know people, I have friends who have made hundreds of thousands of euros from breeding and pimping out their CryptoKitties. Have local currencies ever been taxed? How would the authorities know? That's a great question. Local currencies are a more novel phenomena, and the one that I gave an example with, which was Kolu, it actually has an official partnership with Liverpool. So I imagine that they must be taxed in some form, although I think that this is one of those crypto gray areas where we don't have any clear-cut answers right now. It'll be very interesting to see how regulators try to regulate cryptocurrencies. Sounds a lot like Ready Player One? Yes. What is the advantage of a DLT-based rewards program? Yeah, that's kind of my point. For the question about air miles is I can't really tell you what the advantage is. And this is something that I see a lot in the blockchain industry, and I'm actually becoming increasingly frustrated because it seems that the real novel applications of blockchain are being kind of pushed to the side, and people are instead focusing on things that are already working. Hasn't Libra been dropped now? No, it has not. France has officially banned it. The US congressmen are trying very hard to stop it, but keep in mind, as I said, Facebook has billions of users, and even if it's banned in a few countries, that doesn't mean there's not going to be hundreds of millions of people that have access to it very soon. If you want to get a CryptoKitty, you can just look up CryptoKitties online. You're going to have to do something. You're going to have to add an add-on to your browser that allows you to interact with the Ethereum blockchain. It's not that tricky. It's also not that profitable anymore. So if the person that asked that question is trying to get into the CryptoKitty pimping game, it might not be as lucrative for you anymore as it once was. Okay, thank you very much for your time.